What's up? You're watching The Sit Down on DJ Sixsmith. Billy Gardell is back here with us. Bob Hearts Abishola going strong. Season 2, Season 3 coming up as well. What's up, Billy? How are you, man?
How are you, DJ? Good to see you, man. Like we were just talking beforehand, and we talked like 2 minutes before the pandemic in New York City. A day later, everything was shut down. So it's nice to see you again. I'm glad you're well, and I hope your family is too.
I am glad that you are well. It was March 9th of 2020. You came to New York. You did stand up in Philadelphia, and somehow you escaped without COVID-19. That's incredible.
I did. I like literally March. Was it March 9th we talked?
March 9th, yeah.
Yeah, and like I was saying, 2 days before that, I went to see Ed Harrison To Kill a Mockingbird, just sitting in a theater like nothing's going on. Yeah, so I'm very grateful that I made it through. I actually caught some slack last time I was on your show because I was complaining about the Pirates management. And
That's right.
and since that complaint, Cole, who was a Pittsburgh pitcher, now pitched for the Astros in the series,
Yep.
and then went to the Yankees. And then now Musgrove, who we traded out to San Diego, pitched the first no-hitter in San Diego history. So I stand by my comments, Steve.
I think you've been officially vindicated. I think you're on the right side of history already on that one.
I stand by my comments.
Well, we'll get into some Pittsburgh sports later.
Sure.
I want to talk about Bob Hearts Abishola because Season 2 has been awesome. It's coming back for Season 3. We talked when Season 1 was going on, but what has it meant to you to just continue this thing and build it into something much bigger now?
Well, first of all, I can't believe that I ended up on a second sitcom that's successful. Like usually you get one and then you try to do it again. And by episode 4, everybody goes, nah, and you're done. So that's been an incredible gift. The cast, especially Falake Olawofayeko, who plays Abishola, has been really wonderful. And then, of course, Gina Yashere, who created our show, is a wonderful stand-up comic and Nigerian, but lived in England for a long time and brings an authenticity to our show through her writing and her acting and all the other wonderful characters, Barry Shabaka and Matt Jones. And, you know, we just have this nice eclectic group that is really kind to each other. And when you have that, you have a real good shot. And then the show itself just says a very sweet thing, man. It just says, you know, if you're lucky enough to find somebody that you fall for and they fall back for you, you know, size, shape, color, that doesn't matter. When love is the basis, I think that's a good example. And I think right now that show just says something very sweet and a very hard time right now. You know, we're trying to find common footing and that needs to be done. We're way past due. And so just to do it without preaching and just to do it through, hey man, you got to marry each other's family. You got to schedule. You got to tolerate each other's quirks. You got to learn about each other. You got to be patient. And I just think those are the fundamentals that bring decency. And so I really love this show.
And the thing that I love too is that love can be complicated, right? There's strings attached, there's families attached, right? There's different cultures you have to learn about. I mean, one of the coolest parts is the Nigerian culture that's pumped through the show and also the comedy too. So what have you learned about Nigerian culture? I'd love to hear some.
Well, one of the things I know is, first of all, don't ask unless you want to hear it. Because Nigerians, they come right with the truth. And it's not a personal thing in that culture. They're just like, yes, you're too fat. Like there's no, but they don't mean, there's no harm behind it. There's some kind of compassion underneath it. So it's just a truthful statement. You know, whatever they tell you, you know, you're sweating, you look sloppy, you know, but it's not mean. It's hard to explain. And I will tell you, every bit of food, every bit of Nigerian food I've eaten, agbono or jollof or, you know, any of the other the dishes, brother, you better have your black belt in spice because the Nigerians like to eat hot food. But so that's neat. And I love the culture and the color and the vividness of it, man. And then on the other side, you know, and the other thing is the hard work, the work ethic. Nigerians, the Nigerian work ethic is pretty hardcore, and so it's fun to be. The two fun things I love about Bob is his mind and his heart is open, and he'll try any of that, and that leads to good comedy as well. And then the other side of it is that Bob has the American vibe of, hey man, we don't need to work all 7 days. You know, we can cut school once in a while. And I think Bob and Abishola kind of give each other that, but they're also common in their drive for success. So as we learn about each other, we find the common threads, and then we learn from the differences, hopefully. And I think that's where we need to be as a people, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We have more similarities and differences, and those
Yeah.
differences can be magnified. But a show like this proves that there's a lot that we actually have in
Man.
common.
And you said it more than anything else, man. When you enter into a relationship with somebody, you're saying yes to their family too, just like they're saying yes to your family, and that's a madness that is common around the world. You know what I mean? That's just a thread we all have, and I think that's a nice thing.
Absolutely. Everybody can relate to that one. You mentioned the fact that this is now the second big show that you're on, same network with CBS. And you
Can't
mentioned,
believe it.
you know, one time would be amazing, but to do it a second time, what
Yeah.
has been the most interesting part of it? Because Mike and Molly was great, but this is also great and it says something more too. So how do you compare the situations?
Well, Mike and Molly was life changing, and I made lifelong friends on that show. And we went through this thing where we were all succeeding at the same time together. So the gift of this show is not only to have another group of people that I really love working with, you know, the whole cast. I love working with all of them, and but the gift for me, I think, is you know, you hear players talk about the game slows down so you can see it better. So that's what's been my experience through this one. In other words, I can see the field better. Like I know what's coming. I know, and I've been able to kind of help some of the people who haven't been through it understand what's coming next. Because, you know, with Mike and Molly, while all that was happening, you're still like, did we get picked up? Did we get more? How were the ratings?
You can take a step back a little bit now and be like,
yeah,
I've
you
been here
step
before.
well, and start to understand is, you know, the only thing you have control over. People are gonna love what you do. People are not gonna like what you do. The only thing you have control over is how hard you work on your show. So if you stay in the work of being of service to the show, then whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But it kind of frees you up to just enjoy the work. And so, and then I got to go to the upfronts, which is, you know, the big deal at Carnegie Hall, and I got to do that again. I never thought I'd get to experience that again. I was able to help Falake and tell her, okay, we're going to do this, and this is going to happen. And so it was nice to be kind of a guide for that. And it was a nice way to be of service. And then I really got to just take in, like, oh my God, how is this happening again? My big fat head has been on a billboard on Sunset Boulevard, and then recently in Times Square. Now, I can't explain to you how crazy that is still to me to this day. So I've been very blessed where I'm at. And my tip is, people always go, well, what's your biggest piece of advice? I go, well, if you're gonna have one guy really get behind you in Hollywood, it should be Chuck Lorre.
Yeah, he's got that magic touch. That's the guy you want in your corner.
That's the guy. It's like being drafted by the Yanks, man. It's like playing for Parcells. You know, you just know that you're expected to do a great job, and that it's going to be at a high level, and there's going to be quality. So I've been very grateful. And then CBS has been, and Warner Brothers have been great to me for 11 years. So I've been very, very blessed.
Or it's like getting drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? I mean,
Nothing
franchise
better,
like
brother. Nothing better. That's it. We play ball for the guy next to us. That's it.
What do you think about Najee Harris joining the group? You got a good running back now.
You know, man, I've been saying it. Look, that's what happened to us in November. If you can't run the ball in November, you're not going anywhere. And, you know, that running back has to pull those safeties up. And so that opens up that deep ball. That's always been the way we've played. And I love James Conner, and I love his story. I just didn't think he was getting it done for us. And so that was one. And we draft linebackers like people buy oranges. Like we just have 9 linebackers at all times on the bench. So I was really hoping that they were going to go for a running back, a guy that can punish too. And he was tremendous at Alabama. I think he's going to be a great. I think he's one of those players that can make an impact right away. And I think with this maybe being Ben's last year, this is a piece we were sadly missing. Like, look what happened when you got Terrell Davis for John Elway. Like it's abundantly clear. If you cannot run the ball after November, you're not going very deep. You're just not going to go very deep. So I'm really excited about it. And you know, last time we drafted a Harris, it worked out pretty good. So it's a little shout out to my buddy Franco.
Yeah, Franco, one of the greats, and Big Ben is going to be one of the greats, right? I mean, it's crazy to think that his career is coming to an end.
Right? Yep. It feels like a quantum leap, man. And nothing makes you feel your age like watching the draft. Like I was watching the draft again, and you're like, you see these kids that are like 20, 22, and you're like, you're about to be a pro ball player. And like,
Yeah.
I'm 52 and I'm trying to, if I get into the garage takes an effort, you know what I mean? So it really ages you. And then you realize, wow, this player's like when Hines Ward retired, that hit me. Like Greg Lloyd, I go back to, like, you think these players that you've rooted for 20 years, and it seems to go by like that, So I enjoy the process of that, but it does put a timepiece on your, like it kind of time stamps you. You know what I mean? When a player ends its career, it time stamps you.
Yeah, it definitely puts things in perspective. So Steelers have some good things to look forward to. Do we have any big thoughts on the Pittsburgh Pirates at this point? I mean, given what you said about management already, how are we feeling about the Buckeyes?
You get me in trouble again. No, I told you, man. I'm sick of it, man. I'm a diehard Pirates fan, but they break my heart. It just seems like we get hopeful and then we have a fire sale, and I don't know what it is, man. I don't know why we can't keep all the pieces in the right puzzle, but look, they're up above 500 last time I checked, and that, the season started awful. Like, I was already ready to sue MLB for my money back for the package, but that's a joke. Everybody, don't start a blog.
It's a joke.
Sarcasm. But I stay with them through thick and thin. I'm like any Pittsburgher. I complain and I'm miserable, but I stay with them. They're my team.
How about the Pittsburgh Penguins? They're looking pretty good. 15th straight year in the postseason.
The Pens were an incredible surprise this year, because we thought with some of the losses and injuries that, like, the expectations were very low for the Penguins this year, but they have been a pleasant surprise, man, a real pleasant surprise. And I'm getting secretly optimistic. So we'll see. We'll see how deep we can
we'll
go.
definitely see how that goes. I think we're all getting a little bit optimistic about what's to come in the world, right? Going back to comedy shows, getting back to regular life. What are you most excited about, whether it's, the remainder of this year, next year, just going forward with everything here?
I'm just excited. Like I told you, I just got vaccinated, and I'm fully vaccinated as of today. As a matter of fact, this is the 2-week past my second shot. And it just feels like, okay. And, and I can't run out and go and be crazy. I understand we still need to be respectful of others and, wear masks in certain areas until that completely lifts. But just the idea of getting through this, and then the simpleness of social contact, the simpleness of being able to visit family and friends again, and be in the house together, knowing everybody's vaccinated and see each other's faces, and have that connection that's so important. I think we're going to take one trip in June. I'm still a little nervous about getting on a plane, but we're going to take my son to see his grandmother, and I think that's going to be I told him, I said, look, man, the one thing this pandemic's going to teach you and all your friends, he's 17. I said, it's going to teach you at some point down the line, you're going to have to do work that you don't want to do, or you're going to have to push through something that you don't want to push through. And this has taught you that. So you got your senior year taken away from you. You're sitting on a video screen like every other kid in school, and it has been tedious and it has been trying, but you did it. So now that weapon is in your arsenal. So, and I think these kids are going to have a bond about this when they go off to college. They're going to, they will have, any kid who's been through this is going to, in their age group, is going to have a connection with their peers because they made it through this, hopefully, because a lot of people didn't.
I think this is going to bond us all together, but especially kids. It's been super rough. It's already hard enough for adults, but to lose contact as a kid is a whole different story.
It's going to leave a mental noogie on them. But thank God, I think the Skype and the Zooms and the video stuff, and I think that has been a gift for them to get a little bit of connection with each other. You know what I mean? I think that's been a gift for them. And when they get out there, it'll go. I think it's slower for us because we're a little older. I think they'll probably go a little faster. And, I told my son, just be careful, I said, be careful, be smart, and just follow the rules. And the longer you're careful, the better off you're going to be. That's what I kind of preach through this whole thing.
I think those are good words to live by, and hoping that we can do this in person at some point again. Billy,
I'd love to see you, brother. I'd love to see you.
Come back to New York. We'll do it again, man. All right.
I would love to. And thanks for having me. And then next time I'm on, you can get me in more trouble with the Pirates. All right.